Hello, I'm Dominick Domasky, and I want to help you accomplish your book writing goals. Never has there been a better time in history than right now to accomplish your book writing goal. Literacy rates across the globe are at an all-time high. Publishing costs are lower than they've ever been. And the internet has created a global marketplace for you to sell your book. There's always going to be a reason not to do something. I put out a book with a hand-drawn picture of a dead fish on the cover, and I thought it was a good idea. I've sold my rights to publishers. Well, they made a lot of money, and I made mere pennies on the sales of books, and I've made my share of mistakes. There's no need for you to bang your head up against the wall when I already have. I've made my share of mistakes, but people might not know this. I've sold thousands of books, and I've helped other people do the same. I've spoken at universities, and I've been on the top of bestseller lists. Now, what I want to do is I want to give you the tools to do the same. I'm Dominick Domasky, Motivation Champs. Check out my book, How to Write a Book in 2020, and I think we can help you out.
You made it.
Come on, man. Welcome to the 100 Club.
Hey!
You know what I'm saying? That's how we get that. 100 episode.
100 episode. Hey. And you made it. And you made it. And you made it.
Feels good, right?
Congratulations, 100 episodes young.
Way to go.
The best.
Welcome to the 100th episode. 100th episode of Living the Next Chapter. 100 episodes. And guess what? I have one of my favorite motivational champs in my corner. Somebody that was back, I think episode 3, this gentleman showed up, and he is the reason why all of us are here today, why you're listening, why you are here, why I've been able to speak to over 100 authors. Dominick Domasky's with me. The creator, unbeknownst to him, of the Living the Next Chapter podcast, and I wanted to celebrate 100 episodes with my good friend Dominick Domasky. Dom, how are you?
I'm doing awesome, and I'm thrilled to be associated with you and the 100th episode and all the good work you're doing, all the authors you're spotlighting. So it's fabulous, and I'm absolutely thrilled. So thank you, David.
Episode 3, I had you on. And you were like my first interview, Dom. I have gotten better.
You were good then. You were natural. But I remember you talking about it in Clubhouse. You talking about you're going to have a podcast, and you'd ask questions about like weird questions back then. No question is weird. But you was just starting out, and well, what should I do with this? And I'm thinking, go for it. And then when you did, I remember thinking, well, I want to be a part of it. I want to ride David's coattails. So even though it was episode 3, you already had the vibe, the mojo. You were a rock star way before you even knew it.
Back in the day. No, this is like 8 months in, and I'm up over 100 episodes now. So like the amazing authors that I've had on, and so many of my guests have been your authors. And I'm amazed at the group of people that call you a friend and call you as their leader, as their motivation to help them write their books and get published. These people that I've had on, I think of Chris Michelle, I think of Harry Spate, I think of Deborah, I think of, oh gosh, it goes on and on, Paul Gray, right? There's so many of your authors that have come on and shared from their heart their books. And as a publisher, Dom, as we kind of go back in time and think about some of the things you've lived through in your personal career, how exciting is it for you to see somebody that comes to you with a book idea and to see them flourish and become a published author? How proud does that make you feel?
Wow. I didn't know this was going to be so tough. What a gut-wrenching, man, to ask these questions. And I love each one of those authors. I seriously do. And if there's money involved, I would say I would go 10 times above the money to support them in any way and long after, because I believe in them. I believe in the message. And I live in a world where I want to help people share their story. And all these authors, whether it's Debbie or Paul Gray, anybody that you've had on, they have such unique stories that aren't my personal story. I grew up blue-collar guy, pulling weeds and stuff like that. And here's a story that's like Mick. That's different than my story. Somebody else that's completely different. But that doesn't mean that their story isn't inspirational. It's just told from a different way. It's they had to go through different things. And when I'm able to help them share that story, that pain, that struggle, which then in turn helps somebody else, maybe there's somebody out there going through what Pamela may have went through, and now all of a sudden they can identify with that. And a lot of times, this word is overused, vicariously. A lot of times they are helping me too. And their motivational stories, their message, like Paul Gray. Paul Gray, dear friend, I love Paul Gray. Paul Gray may have given me more religion than anybody. I've read the Bible. I've spent time in church. Paul intimately shared his thoughts on God and God's grace and things like that in a way and didn't judge where I was at in my life or where I may be. He just said, here's my thoughts. And this is the beautiful thing that I want to share with you. And I am thankful that he shared that with me. And so I think, to a long-winded answer to your question, I think a lot of times I get more out of it than they do, and it really lifts me up.
Everything you post on social media, Dom, is all about inspiring people, motivating people. When we jump into a clubhouse room, again, you flip the mic around, you focus on others, and you're continually building people up. Where does this come from, Dom? Why is this so important for you to see others succeed in life?
I think you develop empathy in your life. And whether it's my mom having Alzheimer's, my son being a type 1 diabetic, going broke, I think those things. Where, let's say when I was a young man where I was granted a lot of opportunities, parents that both worked, parents that believed in me and encouraged me and all these things. And maybe I wasn't always my best self. And I probably have regrets over that. I'm telling you right now, I wasn't always the best version of me. And there might be people that I scarred or wounded myself along the way. And I regret it. And I think of those times where mom and dad were there for me. Or then when mom was sick or my son was sick, or when I struggled in bankruptcy, you start to have an empathy that maybe I didn't have. I was trying to be my best as a young man, but I didn't know. I didn't know enough yet. So now every day for me is, let's try to learn. Let's try to become a better self. Let's try to use our voices. Like David has a show that can help other people. He has a way of telling a story that makes you smile, that makes you want to listen to the next episode when it rolls right into it. I'm like, I'm already 10 minutes into this next episode. You have that voice. You have that ability. And when you have that, I think you have a responsibility to step up and defend these other people that maybe are where you used to be. I remember when I was a little kid and I had big buck teeth that hung out of my mouth, and I weighed about 60 pounds in 5th grade or whatever, and the other kids beat me up and punched me when I walked down the halls and things like that. And now, later on, when you have a voice, I think it's your duty to help these other people. And so I really do, at all costs, think, somebody like our friend Brian P. Swift, that we know. Brian taught me about wheelchairs and being a quadriplegic, and now I look I see somebody in a wheelchair roll into a restaurant, and I think, that's not right. Debbie taught us about gaslighting, and I think, I saw that. Pamela taught me about addiction. Paul taught me one day, we were talking about people without fathers and how tough it is growing up without a father. And Paul's take on that, a man of God, was that we do have a father. He said everybody had a father. He felt their father was God, and they already had the greatest father regardless. And he wanted to share that message with people. So I really just think we have a duty to, if we have a voice, if we have a platform, to help as many people as we can.
And so many times when I hear your posts again on Instagram and everything, you're challenging us as viewers, as followers along on your socials, to use that voice. You've been given a story, you've been given a voice. It's our job to use that. Even if you feel your story is not powerful or exciting or all that, your story is your story and it can help somebody. And the power of a story is something that we all need to harness and use, whether it's a podcast, a book, whatever that is. How can you leverage that story and help somebody with it, right?
Absolutely. There is somebody out there right now with struggling, thinking they don't see a light, and they're struggling with something that you've already overcome. And that's that, by sharing that, even if it's one person, maybe you share that story and one person realizes there is hope. There is a way out. And so think, what if it was 2? What if it was 5? What if it was 100? What if it was 1,000? But if you could change one life, you have to do it. And if I can encourage somebody to take that shot, to use their voice, to write their story, then I have to do it. And it just keeps going on and on.
So we're celebrating 100 episodes with you, Dom, and there's nobody that I wanted to have on but you for this. So thank you. We're talking about motivation, like monumental moments in our life, things that we should stop and celebrate instead of letting them just pass by. Because so often they do. Something big happens, an anniversary, a birthday, a big event, a graduation, and they just kind of go by. And you've done so much work to get to where you are, and you need to take a moment, celebrate, honor what's happened, and now continue and build from there without letting these moments just simply go by. So I wanted to go through 5 ways that we can live a more fulfilled life, but celebrate these monumental moments in our life. And I kind of want to bounce these off you and get your response to these. And so these are the 5. Number 1 was to understand what you want from life and make those wants known.
Ooh.
Understand your wants. How important is it, Dom, from your perspective for an author, to understand what they want out of writing a book or being an author?
It might be the first question I ask a lot of times. Why are you doing it?
Okay.
Why? Because with anything, with running your first 5K, writing a book, creating a new recipe, there's going to be hard times. There's opening a business. There's going to be struggle. There's going to be days where you want to quit. And I think if you know that why, well, I'm going to help one person not be where I was. I'm going to help somebody be able to get through. I think it will guide you in those tough times. So I think that would almost be if we were if you blindfolded me and asked me to make a list, I might have, I don't know if they go in descending or ascending order here, but that would definitely be on my list.
Excellent. All right. Number 2, Dom, start your day right. Get in the right mindset. How do we do that? How do we get out of those days when we're writing and we are in a funk or we're not creative, we can't push forward? How do we reset our mind so that we can start our day in the right way? You touch on this so many times in your posts, and it's kind of a big message for you. I want to encapsulate that into this podcast. How do we reset our mind every day so that we're in the right headspace to tackle whatever's in front of us?
Thank you. First, I think we need to start each day with positive content, surrounding ourselves with content that lifts you up, whether that be a book, a Bible. Some people are like, oh, don't go on social media. Well, it depends on what you're looking at. There may be great podcasts like David. There might be great pages that you can go on and you're seeing inspirational messages to start your day. So I absolutely believe that each day you need to consume as much positive content as you can. There's a lot of negativity in this world. And I'm a believer that positivity can win. That although the metrics, the 24-hour news cycle feeds on negativity, news story, shock. But I think if we surround ourselves with positivity and don't go down this rabbit hole, because each of us have a lot of things going on in our lives that could instantly stop us on a given day. If we let them, we would just, it's me like all of you. I want to pull my covers up over my head some days and think, wow, oh my goodness. But rather than going down that rabbit hole of negativity, if you can just stay positive, I think that's the key.
And surround yourself with people that are positive.
Yeah.
They're going to lift you up, push you forward, support you. That's what you
mean. It seems winners surround themselves with winners. Jim Rohn says you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I know we're around Halloween at this point, so I like to say avoid the energy bloodsuckers, the vampires that you know are going to bring you down. And I wrote this in a book a long time ago, and vampires don't like garlic and they don't like sunlight. So if you expose that negativity to positivity, to the sunlight, they usually either come around or just hide in the shadows as the vampires do.
And if you're really good at garlic recipes, you'll be safe from vampires. Great, see?
And Dave, feel free to edit out my nonsense at any time.
I know not to edit anything from Dominick. It's all gold. Okay, Dom, how about finding someone who will hold you accountable in life? How important is that to you, to find somebody that you can kind of hold you accountable in life and you feel like you are accountable to them, they're accountable to you? How important is that?
Super. Whether it be a team, whether it be a coach, whether it be a spouse, a dear friend, a parent, anybody that you can, and sometimes you'll turn to each one of those people for different things. You may have somebody that helps you along in fitness. You may have somebody that helps you along with book writing or your business goals or making sure that you're not off message. Sometimes when I write books, I will give them to my dad, aside from all the editors and things like that. I'll give them to my dad and say, hey, read this and let me know what you think. And I'm looking for his raw thoughts. And he will give me them and I can take them because I know he's coming from a place of love, whether he likes, dislikes. These people, all those people you mentioned, are coming from a place of love. They believe in you. They care for you. They love you. They're trying to protect you. So you take their thoughts and you're able to analyze them, respect them, knowing they told me this because they care. Now, what you do with that, you can, like as an author, it's really hard because you're putting yourself out into the world. You're exposing yourself. You're sharing this story that maybe nobody knew about you. And you're putting yourself out to the world. So those people closest to you, sometimes they don't want you to get hurt. But you may know as an author that you need to you're hurting more not telling that story. You have this weight on you that you can't breathe without sharing it. And sometimes people don't know that. So from an author's point of view, I think about it like that. So that's my answer.
All right. And how do we celebrate our small victories, Dom? What do we do? We got our first chapter done. We're done. I've made it to chapter 1. Do we celebrate? Do we wait till the end? The book is done. How do we keep motivated? How important are small victories?
Rock out, rock out. Go for a walk. Have yourself a second coffee or frosty beverage. I believe in celebrating your wins. I just recently I heard a high school football coach. They had a big win, and he said, "Celebrate this for 24 hours." And then, but he did want them to celebrate and enjoy that moment. Just writing down. Everybody thinks, well, I can't celebrate till I have this book done. Not everybody thinks that, but I can't celebrate till I finish the chapter. Taking your thought to a piece of paper is a big win. Taking that to the computer is a big win.
Yeah.
Sometimes I might go through, I've got this screenplay, Growing Up Gangster, pitch, Growing Up Gangster, that I've been working on for like 10 years. Sometimes I'll go through and change one word. I changed one day, I wrote in there, oh, a girl said, oh, you got your braces off. That was one line. Oh, you got your braces off, something like that. And the reason it was, in my mind, this is so brilliant, I'm thinking, the reason I wrote that line was because I wanted people to know that the lead character was changing. And now people were noticing. And he had got his braces off long ago, but now people were noticing in a different way. And so I went back and wrote one line in something I've been working on for 8-10 years, and I was thrilled about it. I'm walking around like I'm a rock star, and who knows what will happen with that? Maybe nothing, but you keep having those little wins. A friend of mine, he sold a peanut butter company for all kinds of money, national peanut butter company, and I am a person who has struggled to celebrate those wins. So one time I'm talking to him about something I was doing, and he said to me, he's like, Dom, I was saying the next thing I was going to do, the next thing. He's like, you need to stop and celebrate the win. And he is a mentor of mine. And I ask him about business and things like that. And here's somebody that's succeeded at the highest levels. He sent me a picture the other day. He's walking on a mountaintop in New Zealand. It's snowing, and he's like just hiking and took his family to New Zealand for a year. And here's a guy that ascended to the highest level of success, reminding his friend, hey, Dom, you need to stop and celebrate the win. So celebrate those wins. Nice. And I'll give you more than 24 hours too.
And then, Dom, again, let's just kind of look at knowing your limits as an individual. How do you address your limits? How do you work through your limits as an author? Again, you might feel like your story's not meaningful. You might feel that you're not a great author. You're not a great writer. Okay. Your grammatical structure's terrible.
This how do you work through your limits and guy in me. The motivational guy in me might have my first disagreement with David here. I want to tell people let's go. That, and I'll clean this up so I don't forget about limitations. You don't have it. Good. So, and I understand people might think because they've never seen it done, because they're from a certain part of the country, because they don't know somebody that wrote a book, because they don't know somebody that's successful, that became a doctor, or that became a teacher, or that was a teacher and wrote a book. All these different things. Somebody might think, well, they can't do something. But my 100% belief is that we don't have any limits. So if you want it, if you go incrementally, if you go inch by inch, if you keep like these steps that you talked about to this point, if you do each of these things, and there's no deadline. If you say, well, can I dunk a ball, or can you, well, you could fly a plane. Like, I'm not a pilot. Well, you could fly a plane. You could go to class. You could learn inch by inch. You could do things incrementally, so eventually you could fly. If we were saying, oh, well, I can't, Dominic, people do have limits. You can't dunk a ball. Well, you could study, study, study. You could be on the sidelines to the games. You could be the best videographer that is virtually dunking a ball. So I really want people to know, just keep on going. It doesn't matter where you start. I've been focused on the Queen's Gambit recently. I loved it. It was on Netflix over the pandemic. And the story of the Queen's Gambit is the guy took 30 years to write it. And he had and maybe this story, in that 1 week, it had 70 million views. Right place, right time, right message. It maybe wasn't right for a book. It maybe wasn't right for a movie, but right place, right time, right message. So here's somebody that just kept working on their story, believing in their story. And then in a week, 70 million people watch that story. So who knows? Please do not put those limits on yourself. Anything is possible. People with half the skill, half the ability, half the talent have achieved these wild things. So I believe anybody listening can achieve their wildest dreams.
Amazing. So, Dom, to have you on again for my 100th, I really appreciate you. I appreciate you for all that you do for your community. But again, I wanted just to tap into a little bit of Dom tonight because I feel that would be a great setup for my next 100 episodes. So I have authors that listen to the podcast, Dom. Some of your authors, but other authors around the world as well. I want to speak to them, Dom, and give them some encouragement tonight. How can they be the best at what they do? What can they do from your perspective as a publisher, as an encourager? How can an author grow in their field and become better at their craft? What are some of those practical steps, 1, 2, and 3, maybe, that just get that ball rolling, get some momentum?
Okay. 1, practice every day. Meaning that is your craft. If your craft is writing, if your craft is your storytelling, you need to practice somewhere every day. And that some days that could be reading literature that is in the same genre as you. Someday it could be reading stuff like I read a lot of autobiographies, or then sometimes I'll go back and read classics that when I was young I was too immature to read. And now I'll go back and read them and try to understand them and see, wow, oh, this is what's happening here. Watching Casablanca recently or Gone with the Wind helped me become a better storyteller. Here's a story from 100 years ago or whatever, these stories. So study, learn your craft. The second thing I think the most important, and they're all important, but this strikes me as something that everybody needs to know. Give value. Go out there and give value every day. Rather than, I really don't know when the last time I tried to sell one of my books where I put a post, buy this book. And an author needs to, asking somebody to read your book is a very personal thing. Asking them to buy your book is a very personal thing. So make sure when you've done that, you've already given them enough value. And well, how do I give value? Well, maybe you've been a coach for 20 years. Maybe you've been a parent. Maybe you are a great chef. Whatever that subject is you're talking about, you are obviously skilled in. Give me value in that so that I look to you for more, so that I can trust you. I know if I'm that author that, this author puts up stuff about this subject. This is a subject that I want to know more about. Now they wrote a book. It's not short term. It's not tit for tat. You don't get to put out one post and expect everybody to buy. So many people, I could go on, it'd just be a 2-hour episode, but so many people, they're about to release their book, and for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month before, their announcement, book comes out, you never hear from them again. And to me, that's a cardinal sin. Here you were. It's so obvious that were you really giving value or was it about you? Because now, 1 week later, 2 weeks later, I don't see the same you. You're not in the same groups anymore. You're not putting out the same. Well, so I really think it's about consistency. It's about giving value. So that would be my second long-winded tip. And then if we're going three, and three, and you can kick me out. You cut the mic a half hour ago, but we'll give.
Okay, well, I'm going to set you up for another one, Dom, because you posted something recently that really spoke to me, and I appreciated it. You're going to give another one because you're on a roll, Dom. I knew this was going to happen. Everyone, you need to go follow Dom on Instagram, Facebook, all that. Dom does some amazing posts. You posted one recently, Dom. I'm going to stretch your memory here. You talked about people who make a post and you get one like, you get one comment, and how disheartening that might be. You sell one book to your mom, and you're like, why did I do all this work? Why did I put myself out there? I told you it's not going to work, Dom. I told you nobody cares about my message. But you shared something on Instagram that really I had to watch it many times. Okay, Dom, just so you know. And because you spoke about that fear of, or that feeling of disappointment when you don't get a huge surge of people liking and commenting and supporting you online, and what that means. So can you kind of elaborate on that a little bit? Because what you spoke that day on that Instagram post, I'm going to send everybody there, but can you kind of just summarize the whole thing about putting ourselves out there and what happens if we don't get the response that we thought we'd get?
Jeez, you really putting me on a limb, because this is part of life. I really do think that you're going to put yourself out there, and a lot of time we set ourselves up and think the whole world's going to change. Time one that we put ourselves out there. So I think that I offer congratulations for those people that get one like or one view, because you did put yourself out there. You stepped out of your comfort zone and you put yourself out there. And I'm saying you already won at that point. And now I remember some of the videos. So I've been lucky. Some of the videos and things that I've done have hit more than others. I remember a video I did with a woman by the name of Irene. I met her at a mission. A mission I'm part of where we feed 10,000 people a year. Dear Irene was one of the guests that would attend, and she'd help out. She's 80-some years old. And Irene had told me a story how she, when she was in school, she was very good at math, and people would copy her tests and things. And this has to be 1940s, 1950s. And she's so charming, so endearing. And she tells me the story one day about people copying their test. And she went to the teacher one day and said, the teacher was asking people what they want to be when they grow up. And Irene said, I want to be a writer. And the teacher laughed it off and said, oh, you can never be a writer because you're black. And my friend Irene was scarred. Here I met Irene 70 years later, and she was still scarred by the words that teacher said. So one day I went to Irene's house at 85 years old with cameras and things like that. And I'm like, I'm going to let Irene tell her story. Irene's got no social media. I'm not making money off of going. I even took her pizza, and her son held the camera for me some of the time. It's one of my favorite videos I've ever done. And the first time I posted the video, it had 20 views. And now it's been like 4 years and maybe has 100 views. But to help Irene tell her story means so much to me. I won. It was never about views. Somebody seeing that video, or me here today and being able to talk about Irene, wow. And Irene, I've lost touch. I think she had dementia, and I don't know what happened to Irene at this point. But to let her know that her story, she does get to share her story. And so we talked about love. We talked about her first kiss. We talked about her favorite presidents. We talked about those teachers, whatever Irene wanted to talk about. So to those people, put it out, they're getting those 1 views and 2 views, do it. Put them out to the world. Somebody out there needs that video. And that one view might be the most important view. That one view might save somebody's life. That one view might open the doors. It could be somebody on CNN that's listening because their brother-in-law, it's their brother-in-law's podcast. It's their, you never know. And wildest dreams, like we already talked about, happen. So that's, I'm sure you didn't expect to get that answer from me, but there you go.
No, and I love it. I'm going to go and now watch that video again.
Yeah.
That's amazing, Dom. So, okay, for those that have listened this far, thank you so much for being part of our 100th episode. And Dom, I let you in a little secret before we hit record that your authors have joined up and made a little montage in thanking you for helping them to share their story. Deborah helped arrange all this, and I really appreciate the fact that she helped me with this. But we reached out to your authors, and they responded with such grace and with such love for you and for what you've done for them that we wanted to share it at the end of the podcast. So again, like we're tacking this on to the end of the podcast. It's 12 minutes long, Dom, of comments and thoughts and well wishes from your group, your team, your authors. And it really meant a lot to me to hear these and to be able to have these show up in my email, these messages. They just kept coming, Dom, kept coming and coming and coming. And so we just kind of put them together, and we're going to put this at the end of the podcast in celebration for somebody that I look up to, who puts people first every day. And when we go back to episode 3, where you came on and shared like your dad sitting in the restaurant to make sure that it looked like there was somebody in the restaurant when you were having a hard time, you not making it, it was a TGI Fridays and you didn't pass the test, right? And all of these things, Dom, that life has thrown you curveballs. And we talked in that episode 3, about who you have in your corner and why those people matter. And we alluded to boxing, and you Motivation Champs, you have boxing gloves and all that in there. But we talked about when life beats you up and the bell goes and we did the ding ding and you go back to your corner, the people that meet you there are the people that have your back. They clean you up, they refocus you, they re-energize you, they get your head back in the game, back in the match, and they send you back out for the next round. Those are the people in your corner. And you have been that to the authors that have responded to this request. And they're coming back to you tonight in these messages that you're going to be hearing. And they're going to be telling you why they love having you in their corner. So on behalf of your authors, I wanted to say thank you. And for you to give me the original idea to even create this podcast, in our brief conversations back and forth, and it might have been subtle, it might have been a passing comment, but you are the reason that I'm sitting here tonight. So I've had 108 episodes to date with amazing authors because of your kind consideration and you gently saying, just do it, Dave, just go. So on behalf, from my microphone through to you, I just wanted to say thank you so much, Dom, for inspiring me, and not just me, but so many more.
I'm so thankful, and I appreciate you saying that. And I've been thinking that I want to call myself a diamond hunter, and sometimes a diamond is clearly showing in its polish. They were all diamonds. You were a diamond far before we ever had any conversation. The author. It was maybe I just brushed off some dirt or saw something different or saw the point sticking out. And so that is what it wasn't. I was walking by and caught a glimpse of the diamond in all those people, that bright sparkle. It just happened. They were already doing their thing and I saw the sparkle. And whether it was sticking out a little bit or, really radiating, but you brush it off and they were all diamonds. So I'm so thankful to Debbie and all the authors and you, and it just makes me feel so good. So really, I appreciate each, and I need them more than they need me. So thank you.
And if you're wondering how Dom can get through an entire interview like this in an episode without breaking down, he hasn't heard it yet. So after we're done recording, Dom's going to hit play on this and listen to his authors. But again, Dom, it's great. I was so impressed by what your authors came back with. It's amazing. I anticipated it, but it was more than I anticipated.
If you want to play it, we can play it. If you however you want to go about it. I think
this is your special thing, Dom. I want you to enjoy it yourself.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll live vicariously through you, and we'll hear the clips at the end of the episode. Okay. But I think this is something you need to experience because, again, you pour yourself into people so much that you also need to be poured into and thanked. And so that's what they did for you, and I love it.
Yeah, and I do want to say that these authors have helped me achieve some of my wildest dreams as well. I was a man working in the corporate world that had this idea to help other people share their story. There wasn't businesses like this 15 years ago when I started where you helped people share their story. There wasn't a place. Here I am in the corporate world in a place that I didn't belong. And these authors having belief in me from the first one that said, yeah, to now maybe 100 or whatever it is, they gave me the opportunity to chase my dreams. And they keep saying, chase, chase, chase. And then it helps us all go after these amazing things. So really, without them, none of it's possible.
So if there's a new author, Dom, that was looking for a publisher, how do they reach out to you? How do they get in touch with you? How can you help them with their message?
Oh, sure. I would like them to look up Motivation Champs across the internet, across the socials. You'll see the positive content we're trying to put out. You'll see the books we're producing and things like that. But our belief is we really want to share inspiration, positivity, smiles 24/7 and help other people do the same. So if you have an author that believes they have a message to share, if they find Motivation Champs anywhere across the internet, send a message and we'd love to help you share that story and learn about the story, see why you want to share it, and help you accomplish those goals.
Everyone, this is our 100th episode, and again, we're celebrating with Dominick Domasky. Again, back to episode 3, all the way to today. Thank you, Dom.
Hey, hold on. Did we we needed like a kazoo for you for the 100?
We'll add them in post. We'll do it in post.
Drop kazoos on here and party hats. That's what I should have done.
No confetti coming from the ceiling.
Hey,
no.
Congratulations. You are doing good work, and I want to be like you're helping a lot of people share their story. And the time you take to really ask them questions and think about the questions, we as listeners, we see it, we receive it, and we know it takes work, and it isn't you just checking off a box, hey, I'm going to ask this person this person this. No, we can see that in it. We can see that you care, and that's important. That's special. So 100, let's make it 200, 300, 400. Keep it up. I want party hats. Party hat.
You're going to come back every 100, Dom? Let's get you every 100. I'm having you back. What do you think?
No, you know what? I love that idea, but I decline it because you have so many awesome authors, so many people telling their story. That's we need to spotlight them too.
This is all your fault, though, Dom. You're the one that helped me start this, so I love it. Thank you, Dom, for taking time. I know you've had a very busy few days, and the fact that you can make time for us tonight, I really appreciate it. Everyone, please go check out the show notes, click all the links, go over and give Dom some love. And if you need some inspiration today, tomorrow, it comes right here. This is where it all begins. So thanks, Dom.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Cool. So thank you for being part of our 100th episode. And as we talked about, these are messages that we collected from authors that have worked with Dom, and Dom has helped them in creating their books. And these are some of the messages they're sharing back to Dom in appreciation. We thought we'd end off the podcast episode saying thanks to Dom. So if you've responded as one of his authors, thank you. And here are your messages to Dom. Dominick Domasky, we have some guests that would like to share a few thoughts with you. You would probably know these people really well. Here we go.
When I decided to write my first book, How to Have a Grand and Glorious Day, my cousin Paul Gray suggested I call Dom at Motivational Champs. I was really glad that I did. Dom is a wonderful man, he's great help, and he truly cares about his clients. Can't wait to start another book and work with him again.
Dom Domasky, I want to say thank you for the encouragement and guidance you gave to me in working on the book project, Godly Men Make Godly Fathers. I really appreciate you, everything you've done, and the coaching and encouragement you've given. You're an inspiration to so many. Much appreciated. Thanks, Brian Panicelli.
Hey, Dom. This is Carla Wicks, and I just wanted to say how much I thoroughly appreciated all of your help, the help of your team in the getting published of my first devotional and prayer guide. The whole process was seamless, and the interaction was just perfect. I want to thank you so much for everything you do for not only myself and what I've accomplished, but everyone else. You're such a gift to our publishing procedures that we do.
Hey, David, this is Chris Michelle, author of The Red Chair Experience. Dominick helped me put my book together through editing and coming up with the cover design and all of that stuff, and has been nothing but incredible. So I can't thank him enough for all that he's done and the things that he's provided. Not only did he do that, but then he continues to provide direction. He continues to post the book every once in a while just to show people. He's become almost my biggest fan in making sure that when I do podcasts that he reposts it or that he comments on it or things that like that. So not only that, but then he supports me in the clubhouse room where people come to check out and talk about the book and other things like that. So Dominick is an amazing person, and I think that he will continue to encourage people and uplift people, and he's getting part of this back today, but he gets a lot back in return. So many thanks to Dom. Love you, Dom. Hope you're doing well, and hope that you enjoy this. Thanks, David.
Hi, Dom. Debbie Griffiths here. Just wanted to say that I am so glad that our paths crossed and that you are the one that is publishing my story. I couldn't imagine anyone else who would have supported me like this throughout this whole process. I even have to thank you for helping me to remove some of those Band-Aids. You saw through some of the walls that still needed to come down, and you supported me to break through those walls, which not only makes for a better story, but it will help resonate with someone who really does need to seek the help and support that they need. So thank you for being the light and for championing others to write their stories. God bless you.
Dom, this is Mick, and I just wanted to say a few words thanks to Dave's input. He wanted us to say a few words about you, and I wanted to thank you because you have that Pennsyltucky down-home goodness that my dad used to talk about, and you combine that with American grit and determination. I wanted to thank you for letting me get Burning America out, a story that I've kicked around for a few years until I had the good fortune of crossing your path. Take care, Dom. Thanks for everything that you do. Bye now.
What's a good word? Harry Spate here. This message is for Dave and Dominick. I got a message that Dave's looking for authors to talk about what Dominick has meant to them. And Dominick has meant a ton to this one, Harry Spate. I just remember the first conversation I had with Dominick at some network event online. I knew this guy was special, and after I've interviewed a bunch of people to help with the book, I went back to find this Dominick Domasky, and I'm glad I did. He's been a real blessing. He's become a great friend, and I just can't thank him enough for the help in getting Selling with Dignity published and the guidance he has continued to provide for me. So, Dominick, I love you, man. Have a great one. Thanks, Dave, for doing what you do. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Hey, Dom, this is Nicole Jansen, and I am so appreciative of you and the work that you do. And thank you so much for the amazing work that you've done on so many books, in particular, the Power Up Super Women. And being able to be part of that was just such a blessing. And I know that it has impacted so many women's lives as they've read the stories of the women who have gone through challenges and overcome. And so, again, thank you, Dom, for inviting me to be part of that initiative, and God bless you, and we appreciate you so much.
Dominick Domasky helped me find my voice and see the importance of telling stories to get the message out that I wanted to convey. And he did it with kindness and assertiveness and true understanding. He's a real friend. He's the publisher of my first book, and Dominick, I absolutely adore you and have such deep respect for you. You told me a little bit about where you had come from and helped me realize how important it was to share a bit of that in my first book. And I'm forever grateful. Thank you so much. You're a wonderful human being.
Hey Dom, it's me, Dr. Renee Galloway of Sweet Inspirations, LLC. I want to extend a heartfelt thank you for allowing me to share a key chapter in my life's journey. Being a part of the 17-author anthology Power Up Superwomen, Stories of Courage and Empowerment has been a rewarding experience, and those who have read my story and the stories of the other authors would agree. We couldn't have done it without your publishing expertise. Kudos and keep up the great work.
This is Tracy Yang, and I just wanted to say thank you.
Hello, this is Vicki Doyle Hagee. I am so thankful I met Dominick in 2016. He realized the value of my children's books and provided a platform for Izzy the Inchworm and her friends. Dominick is great to work with. He listens and is very supportive. It is a pleasure working with him. I appreciate his work and dedication in helping to publish a quality book. Thank you, Dominick. Wishing you blessings and success always.
Hello, Dom. Thank you, Mr. Dom Domasky. Dom Details, Dom, for everything you've done for us. We could not have gotten it done without you. You are the greatest.
Hey, Dom, it's Mike. If you couldn't figure it out, it was Sal and Mike. Dom, we could not have done this without you. You were our Sherpa. You were our guide. You got us through every rough patch and kept us moving forward. We cannot thank you enough, my friend. Blessed to know you. All right. Best of luck with everything. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Dom. Yay!
Hi, Dave. This is Eric Shields. Dominick helped me publish my first two books. They came from Blair County's Volume 1 and 2. He was great to work with, and he really helped me out because I knew nothing about the publishing world, and he took me by the hand and guided me through everything. Great guy. Congratulations. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Hi, this is Sherry Faust-Smith, and I want to leave a message for Dom. Debbie Griffiths said that you're going to be doing a podcast interview with him. So this message is for Dom. Hey, Dom, this is Sherry Faust-Smith, and I want to thank you so much for finding me on LinkedIn many years ago and asking me to be a part of the Power Up Women book. I'm so grateful for you. I love your positivity. You help to motivate us. I love seeing your smile. You encourage me every day just by your posts. So I'm eternally grateful, Dom. You are an incredible person, and I'm grateful to have you in my life. Keep moving forward. Keep doing what you're doing. You are appreciated. Best wishes.
Hi, my name is Lennis Woods Mullins, and I worked with Dom on a project called Power Up Superwoman. And I cannot tell you what a delightful experience that was. Dom is so understanding and so easy to work with. And not only that, he really treats you like a friend more than a client. And he kind of led me through that process. And it was kind of daunting. I have written before, but never thought about, actually writing something for a book. So it was a wonderful, great first experience. So much so that I'm really looking for another project to work with Dom again, because he was so delightful. He is supportive. He has your back during the process, and he does whatever he can to help you to be successful on the project. I would highly recommend working with Dom. He is just a lovely person, a gift to someone like me who's never done anything like this before, and probably a gift to you as well if you're interested in writing the book for the first time or being a featured author in a book or anything having to do with getting published. Dom is your guy. Dom, personal note for me, thank you so much for being my friend, and thank you for being my mentor during that whole process.
Are you sure you want that to be the title? And I said, yeah. And he said, why? And I said, well, Dom, tell me, what is grace? And he went, good title.
Good title. Okay, yeah, that's Tom. I can hear him say it. Yeah.
So grace is multifaceted, like a diamond. God's love is multifaceted. Grace is simply God's unconditional love for all people in action. Mm-hmm. And that action is, includes all sorts of things. And it's always one way from God towards us, literally without any expectations of anything in return. Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to get to know you better.
It's excellent. And we both have Dominick as a contact and a friend, so that brings us together as well.
It does.
Through the good and the bad, Dominick has been there for us, and we appreciate him as well. So a shout out to Dominick. I know he'll listen to this. We want to wave and give him a greeting. So thank you, Dominick, for making all this happen. And Paul, thank you so much for your time. Hey guys, thank you for listening to the podcast. Jump over to livingthenextchapter.com, our website, and you will see a spot where you can leave a voice message. We'd love to hear your feedback. We're trying to make it as easy as possible to hear from you. So if you want your voice on this podcast, yes, that's possible. Go to livingthenextchapter.com. Click the little microphone icon, leave a voice message. We'll insert your message into the podcast. Tell us where you're listening from. Tell us your favorite guest. Maybe there's a guest we should have on the podcast. Maybe you should be our next guest. Leave us a message. livingthenextchapter.com. Again, thank you so much for listening. Please share this podcast episode with one person. That's all we're asking. Meet you over there at livingthenextchapter.com. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. Love to hear from you. Till the next episode. It's coming up right away. Be sure you hit that subscribe button. Thank you for being part of Living the Next Chapter. Thank you for supporting our guests. Have a great day.
Mindshift Power Podcast, the podcast for teenagers and those who work with them. There's a huge problem in America today. There's a very large disconnect between teenagers and the adults who work with them. I'm looking to bridge that gap with real, raw, honest conversation, not held back by the chains of political correctness. You cannot solve a problem you do not understand. Want to understand teenagers today? Listen to this podcast. This podcast is for teens in the U.S. and Canada. To learn more, go to fatimabay.com/podcast or just look for Mindshift Power Podcast on any listening platform. I look forward to you being a faithful listener.